damage as well. It's a big spider web of issues here. And by the way, how about some of the hateful tweets we're seeing from the blue checkmark leftist crowd? Some of them tweeting that they hope the president dies. I mean, come on, folks. Aren't these, by the way, these are not random crazy people on Twitter with no life. These are actual people with Twitter verified check marks next to their name. And Charlie Kirk is going to be here to discuss. And also, what about all the constitutional issues with this? Will his condition worsen to the point where he has to turn over the reins to the vice president? I mean, can someone say 25th Amendment? That is all on the big show today. But first, our newsmaker of the day, Ted Cruz. He's talking President Trump and COVID-19 and what it might mean for the Supreme Court nomination battle ahead, because that could be collateral damage. Senator Ted Cruz, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it.
David, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, how did you hear the big news, first of all, obviously with President Trump and COVID-19? How did you hear, and what's your reaction to it, sir?
You know, I heard when everyone else did when the news broke. I saw it on my cell phone. It's obviously concerning. Heidi and I, our prayers are with the president, with the First Lady. That they recover. I guess the news has reported the president has mild symptoms. I hope that he recovers quickly. We need him strong and strong and ready, and I hope that he gets better quickly.
Senator, are there certain questions and answers that you want in your mind in terms of what happens now? I mean, I guess we just wait to see how the symptoms progress for the president, but there are people already talking about the 25th Amendment and what road we might have to go down there. What's your sense from a constitutional perspective about where we are right now?
I think all of that is wildly premature. I mean, look, the Democrats and the media have been speculating about the 25th Amendment since Inauguration Day, and they've been eager at every moment to invoke the 25th Amendment. President Trump, and they want him not to be president. Mm-hmm. At this point, with mild symptoms, it's not remotely a concern. Look, any time you have a president, if someone gets seriously ill, that's something that can happen to any human being. And if that situation develops, we'll deal with it then. But at this point, the president is under medical care. The First Lady is under medical care. They're, as I understand it, in quarantine and taking reasonable precautions, and hopefully it does not develop seriously. This is a disease we've seen that has wildly different impacts on different people. For some people, it has very, very serious health implications. For other people, the symptoms are quite mild. And so I hope the president and First Lady fall into the latter category.
To talk about the Supreme Court nomination situation, do you see this potentially being affected at all? Because, with contact tracing and the fact that Amy Coney Barrett was with the president, then with some senators, yourself included, I mean, how is this going to work exactly? Do you see complications at all as it relates to the Senate Judiciary hearing coming up?
I don't believe there will be. The Judiciary Committee has the capacity, and we've been doing this for some time now, to do either in-person hearings, remote hearings, or some hybrid of the two. We do hearings every week where some senators are participating via remote conversation and some are in person. With Judge Barrett, so I met with her this week, and actually when all the senators met with her, we met in a very socially distanced, safe environment. They did it in a very different circumstance than is typical. Usually with a Supreme Court nominee, that nominee will come to each senator's office. And so in the course of a week or two, they'll come to all 100 senators typically. Mm-hmm. This time, many Democrats are refusing even to talk to her. But rather than having her come to each senator's office, what we did instead is she went to the Capitol. Went to a room called the Mansfield Room, where the majority typically has lunch, and we met there in a socially distanced way, where the chairs were about 8 feet apart.
Well, Senator, you know the criticisms are going to come the president's way. As you might imagine, Democrats and liberals in the media are already getting on his case for, the masks and the social distance and the big rallies without anybody wearing masks. What's the reaction to some of the pushback that this president and writ large, maybe some conservatives are going to get for kind of making it a Wild West scenario? That's the way they see it. And they say, well, look, the president got it and he wasn't responsible.
Well, it's not surprising that you're seeing Democrats in the media being mean-spirited and wishing hateful things on the president. The reality is the president and the White House, that there are rigid protocols in place. So anytime you meet with the president, they require you to take a COVID test. So if you go to a White House meeting, you have to take a COVID test. Everyone surrounding the president is taking COVID tests. I recall a few weeks back, I flew with the president to Midland, Texas, on Air Force One, and everyone going on Air Force One, you had to go to the White House at 7 a.m. and get a COVID test that day. And actually, one of the people who was flying with us was Congressman Louis Gohmert, and Louis came to the White House. He was tested. He tested positive. So they said, "You're not getting on the plane."
Right.
And Louis went. Thankfully, Louis is better and is doing fine now. But there are very significant health protocols in place around the president. But that being said, this is an infectious disease, and it's impossible to drop to zero the risk of transmission.
Senator Ted Cruz, thanks for all of the time on a very busy Friday. I appreciate it.
Good to talk.
Senator Ted Cruz here on the water cooler. Because of breaking news, we can't get to everything we discussed with the senator, so the rest of the conversation will be on Monday's edition of the water cooler, and wait till you hear what he has to say about John Roberts. That's a little tease. All right, let's get more now on the latest with President Trump. Our Just the News White House correspondent Carrie Sheffield joins us now. She's, of course, host of the show Just the News AM here on Real America's Voice. Carrie, thanks for being here.
Good to be here. Thanks, David.
What's the latest? What do you got? What do you know?
Well, we just got a statement from the campaign, from the Trump campaign, from the manager, Bill Stepien, and he announced that all Trump campaign events are either going to be postponed or all done virtually. And they said any events involving the first family are going to be postponed right now. We do know that internally, we also got an internal communication for the staff on the campaign that if anyone feels that they may have been exposed to someone who might have COVID or has announced they have COVID, that they should be immediately quarantined to work from home and avoid contact with other people. They are also encouraging and re-encouraging the use of masks, social distancing, hand sanitizer, and the like.
All right, Carrie, always on top of it from the White House. Thanks. We'll check back with you in a little bit. Look, we want to bring in John Solomon, founder, CEO, editor-in-chief of Just the News. John, good to see you.
Good to be with you, David.
25th Amendment, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but at the same time, we are going to see what kind of symptoms develop here with the president.
There's no doubt. Listen, the thing about this is it's happened before, that we have a process in place. We don't need to panic. We don't need to be uptight about it. It happened twice or three times in the last 2 decades with President Reagan and both of the President Bushes. They all went in for colonoscopies. They signed over power to the vice president. When they're capacitated again, they feel good. They sign themselves back in, and we go back to normal order. Mm-hmm. The president has mild symptoms, so I think we should wait and see what happens here. It doesn't sound like it's a serious situation now, but if it becomes more serious, we have history. We know what to do.
And here at Just the News, it's always about tamping down the rhetoric. In other words, with the media, you get into hysteria, and the president or whoever has COVID. But the truth of the matter is, at least according to the statistics, 94% of people that are his age or older are going to be just fine.
That's right. And there's different forms of this disease. Some people get hit hard by it. Some get mild symptoms. Right now, he's said to have mild symptoms. Mm-hmm. I think we stay calm. We stay the course. Everybody knows what to do. He's got the best treatment in the world. Mm-hmm. And we'll get through this. We always do.
Are there certain questions and answers that you want to know? Like, what are some storylines here that we should be looking at? What's your sense of that?
Yeah, there's a lot of history about to play out in the next few months. We got the Supreme Court nomination. We've got the election. We've got a debate on October 15th. All of those could be adjusted in some way because of the president's condition. Mm-hmm. But the first possibility is he might just get well in a couple of days and get back on into a situation where he's COVID-free and he gets it back on the campaign trail. But it does have a significant other thing to watch. Mm-hmm. You always have to watch the markets. They get rattled by something like this. Yeah. And does an enemy, one of our perpetrators out there, do they try to do something? The security will be on high alert at the Pentagon and national security agencies.
I was wondering about that, China and the South China Sea.
It's a great time to play a dirty trick, and so we'll be on a high alert. Yeah. That's one of the things that does happen.
I wonder what Democrats have to do here in terms of discipline. I mean, this is not a time to gloat.
That's right.
But the temptation will be, I told you so. Yeah. Especially when it comes to masks versus no masks.
Absolutely. Listen, the president has taken a very clear path toward COVID. The Democrats don't like that path. Mm-hmm. There is going to be, I told you so, maybe subliminal to begin with. with. But once he gets better, watch the "I told you so's" get louder and louder.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen here with the Supreme Court battle? We understand that Ted Cruz thinks it's going to go forward. I would think this seems like there's no stopping this situation at this point, do you think?
Yeah, listen, the process will continue. All the processes of government are going to continue. Congress, the federal agencies. I think the hearing will go on the 12th as planned, and the process will get done by the end of October, I think. That's what I'm hearing.
And I also understand that, you and I, we've been over to the White House. I mean, you get the nasal swab, right? I mean, this is how...
The precautions are real, and people have masks on when they're waiting for the nasal swab, when they're declared COVID-free, you can walk around.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see in terms of how we got it. I guess we'll find out at some point. Or maybe we'll never find out.
Yeah, we may not. Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right, coming next, many radical leftists are rejoicing about the news that the president has COVID. We're going to talk with Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, about all this when we come back. We'll see you in a second.
The hottest new razor is taking the men's grooming world by storm. And if you don't have it, you need it. Micro Touch Solo, the hyper-advanced full-body razor that trims, shapes, edges, and even shaves with micro precision. And it's totally safe to the touch. Go solo for full body control with one tool. No nicks, bumps, or ingrown hairs. Edge beards and goatees with one touch. Clean your neck, barber shop perfect. And check this out. Snap on the guide to tame growth and perfectly shape your full beard. And keep new growth stubble trimmed exactly to your style. And look, the Solo Full Body Groomer trims precisely the length of hair you want. Snap off the guide and remove unwanted hair anywhere in seconds. What makes Solo different than your ordinary razor? Dual-sided German stainless steel blade. Shave up or down at 200 microstrokes per second. The Ultra Flex pivoting head contours perfectly to you for precise results. 3 custom grooming guides for control of exact length and shape. And a built-in LED light so you never miss a spot. Solo is so precise, you need no creams, no soaps, and no water. Ditch the old man clippers and toss the scissors. You've got to go solo. Call 1-800-709-9777 or go online at microtouchsolo.com and get yours now for only $19.99. Complete with German stainless steel blade, pivoting head, built-in spotlight, and 3 custom grooming guides. Everything you see here for just $19.99. The all-new MicroTouch Solo Full Body Groomer. The one tool that does it all.
Frustrated with heavy rubber hoses that always get tangled and easily kink? Introducing the Bionic Flex Pro hose, the super strong, super tough hose that's ultra light as well. Run over an ordinary hose and it'll easily burst, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose stays intact no matter what runs over it, because its reinforced drag-resistant commercial-grade outer polyester weave makes it tougher and stronger than ever. And its solid brass fittings are crush-proof too. Ordinary hoses kink easily and stop working, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose never kinks. It just keeps flowing strong. And while regular hoses easily get tangled, the Bionic Flex Pro hose is tangle-proof. You can get the 25-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose for just $19.95 with free shipping. But wait, order today and we'll upgrade your order to a 50-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose. Just pay a separate fee, and shipping is still free. Go now.
Call 1-800-313-8062.
Welcome back to the water cooler, everybody. We know President Trump provokes a lot of anger from the left, and now that the president has COVID, you would hope that their anger might dissipate for a mere moment. Yeah, right. Here are some tweets by Twitter-certified blue-checked leftists. Please die, please die, please die. Here's another one. They just get right to the point, by the way. They say, time to die, please. How about this one? Quote, I'm worried this might interfere with my dream of seeing him die in prison. Well, that's some funny stuff, isn't it? And finally, this one, quote, for once I'm rooting for the virus. Boy, I tell you what, the humor from the left's hilarious. Joining us now to talk about this, and someone who knows the president very well, is the founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. Charlie, hey, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, look, I'm going to get to some of the crazy liberal tweets in a moment. I'm sure you might have a thing or two to say about that. But tell me first how you heard the news about the president and your reaction. I know you're close friends with him. You know him well.
Yeah, when I first heard last evening that Hope Hicks had the virus, it didn't really add up very much. I know the process of going into the White House. You have to get tested. You have to go through the nasal swab. And I thought to myself, if Hope Hicks has it, then there's probably more to this story. And then the president tweeted that he was quarantining. And I know they have instant testing, so they probably did a more thorough test. And so then I went to bed and my phone just kept ringing off the hook. And then next thing you knew, I kind of woke up at 2 a.m. and the president was tested positive. So we did a podcast instantaneously, and as predicted, the left is wishing death upon our president.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, Charlie. I mean, unfortunately, it's not surprising, but, you know, the left has to be careful here. You know, they're going to say, I told you so. You know this is coming, Charlie, but if they try to gloat here, this is not the time for gloating.
Well, obviously, I mean, just look at how conservatives reacted to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and now look at how the left is reacting to the president being infected with the Chinese coronavirus. And it's just not even close. And of course, they'll get away with it. Linda Sarsour, a leading Democrat, said, oh, it looks like someone doesn't want to debate any longer. You had Andrew Yang, who ran for the presidency with the Democrats, who said, geez, I hope he didn't give it to Joe. That's his first reaction, Andrew Yang. Not that I hope that the president lives and survives, but instead, I hope that my political choice isn't also infected. So, look, I wish this would be a post-political moment. I wish this would have been a time when people would have just, you know, sent their wishes and prayers. You put plenty of the death threats up on, not death threats, death wishes, I guess you should say. It's a better way to say it, on screen. It is not surprising any of us that actually deal with the left every day. We all get death threats. We all get chased in the streets by these people. And now you're only seeing that manifest in the death wishes of our duly elected president.
Charlie, I want to talk a little bit about your work in this election, what you're trying to get accomplished. How does this potentially impact any of that, or does it? I mean, the president isn't going to be obviously campaigning anytime soon, but you've got some work to do yourself with Turning Point USA, which has been a real behemoth, if you will, a real force in election politics.
Yeah, I mean, through Turning Point Action, yes. Turning Point USA is our educational arm, so we stay out of politics there. But Turning Point Action, we're running Students for Trump, and we are doing quite a lot to mobilize young Trump supporters. And look, the campaign has announced they're not going to do any more events in the foreseeable future. We actually are not taking that tact. We are actually going to be in full operation mode. And so in some ways, maybe what we are doing is more important than ever. And so I'll be going to Utah next week if the VP debate is still happening. I'll be in Tennessee this weekend. So we're going to still be crisscrossing the country, doing live events, mobilizing students around the support of the president. And so that's what we're doing through Turning Point Action and Students for Trump. And I really believe that, kind of our work is more important than ever, especially if the campaign is truly going to kind of take it easy in the coming weeks. And so we're going to be in full aggressive mode right now. And just because we're afforded the opportunity to do so, obviously taking proper precautions. But we got an election in 30 days. 1 million people have already voted. So the election's already here.
You know, the Democrats are going to be grabbing smelling salts November 3rd or potentially at the Supreme Court, depending on whenever this gets decided, if Biden and the Democrats lose this thing. I mean, look, think about it, right? The president's been impeached. He's got to deal with COVID-19 in terms of actually getting the virus. And, oh, by the way, there's this huge COVID-19 pandemic, and everything's been kind of curtailed back anyhow. I mean, this would be beyond belief for this president to win at this point. I think a lot of people would be surprised if he does.
Look, it's hard to know. I mean, I was watching cable TV this morning and someone was trying to predict exactly what's going to happen. And it's not predictions, it's guessing. I mean, at this point, if you have any idea of the unforeseen consequences of everything that has happened this year and you think you can model it and you can poll it, you're just guessing at this point. And so I can make an informed guess. I think the president's going to do a lot better than people believe based on what we're seeing on the ground. But now with the president being infected, now with the campaign being put into uncertainty, with the debate, I am left to believe that nobody knows. And if anyone is telling you what is going to happen, they're probably just, in the middle of the dark, just saying, how about that? And so, look, the left is certain, though, that they're going to win. I hope that they continue that certainty, because certainty usually breeds apathy and comfort. So I'm not going to try to convince them otherwise. However, I will say this, that this is probably one of the most important months in the history of our republic. Very few people, if anyone, could have saw this deviation. Not deviation, that's the right word, but this disruption on top of the vacant Supreme Court seat, on top of everything else that's happening. 2020 is really a year where a lot of these different things are intersecting into one. It's a stress test for the American country and culture and system, and I pray that we'll pass it.
Charlie, I got less than a minute left, maybe about 30 seconds or so. What's your sense, in terms of the word deflating to conservatives? President Trump thrives off the crowd, the audience, the rallies. He was doing airport hangars, which is not as good as the 30,000 people type rallies. Now what? This has got to be a little deflating to say, oh, you're taking away his bread and butter, and it's got to be a bit of a punch to the gut.
Well, look, first, let's make sure the president defeats the virus personally. I think that should be our first priority. And secondly, we're going to have to pick up the slack. People like myself, Donald Trump Jr., and we're now going to do more events, and we're going to have our president's back because he's had our back. And so we are going to double down. We're going to do more. We're going to be out there even more. And if the president is not able to campaign, we'll do it for him.
Charlie Kirk, always great to see you. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. God bless you. Bye.
All right. Coming up, the prayer aspect, how Americans are coming together to pray for President Trump. We're back in a moment.
Tired of struggling with regular mirrors that don't adjust so you can't get close enough? Need both hands, but you don't have a stand? Can't move in the right direction to see your own reflection? You need Flexible Mirror, the bendable, light-up magnification mirror that comes to you. Watch. Just stick it on and turn the base. The super suction locking mechanism means you can put it on any smooth surfaced place, horizontal or vertical. Lock it onto any mirror, table, or desk. Use it in the shower, even on a window. The secret is Flexible Mirror's super strong articulating arm that's attached with an ingenious ball and socket so it can swivel and rotate for the perfect angle. And look how strong it holds. The mirror is precision crafted with 10 times magnification and crystal clear optics. And with a soft glow LED ring, you'll get picture-perfect lighting to highlight every detail. Flexible Mirror makes shaving, applying makeup, hairstyling, grooming, and accessorizing easier than ever before. Plus, men, listen up. The 10 times magnification makes it perfect for giving your beard a detailed trim. Whatever you need to do, Flexible Mirror comes to you. Plus, the contemporary chrome accents add a lovely modern touch to any room. Stop struggling to put in your delicate contacts and let Flexible Mirror come to you, so it's much easier to do. Similar mirrors can cost as much as $100, and they don't even come to you. But you can get Flexible Mirror for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. We guarantee you'll love the Flexible Mirror so much that it comes with our 90-day no questions asked money-back guarantee. And here's the best part, we give you free shipping on your entire order. That's right, free shipping. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-987-6183. That's 1-800-987-6183 or order online at tryflexiblemirror.com.
Frustrated with heavy rubber hoses that always get tangled and easily kink? Introducing the Bionic Flex Pro hose, the super strong, super tough hose that's ultra light as well. Run over an ordinary hose and it'll easily burst, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose stays intact no matter what runs over it, because its reinforced drag-resistant commercial-grade outer polyester weave makes it tougher and stronger than ever. And its solid brass fittings are crush-proof too. Ordinary hoses kink easily and stop working, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose never kinks. It just keeps flowing strong. And while regular hoses easily get tangled, the Bionic Flex Pro hose is tangle-proof. You can get the 25-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose for just $19.95 with free shipping. But wait, order today and we'll upgrade your order to a 50-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose. Just pay a separate fee, and shipping is still free. Go now.
Call 1-800-313-8062.
And welcome back to the water cooler. All right, prayers are pouring in from around the country and the world for President Trump. Our next guest is going to talk about an effort that he's spearheading, actually, in that regard. Pastor Darrell Scott joins us now. Pastor Scott is a close personal friend of the president. Of course, I've known him a long time. Pastor Scott, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
God bless you, man. Thank you for having me.
Hey, first, before we get to the praying for the president movement, if you will, that's out there, I want you to talk about that. But tell me how you first heard about when the president had COVID, and not just how you heard about it, but that you're a very close personal friend to him. I know you are.
When I heard last night during Hannity's show that Hope Hicks had it, I knew the possibility existed that the president possibly contracted it, because he and Hope work very close together. She's in and out of the Oval Office on a regular basis. And so I knew that the possibility existed that the president had contracted it as well. So when I heard this morning that he definitely did have it, I wasn't surprised, once again, because I knew the possibility existed.
Tell me a little bit about this prayers across the country for the president. I know you and Tim Clinton are doing, Tim Clinton, an evangelical, part of the Evangelical Advisory Council to the president. Tell me a little bit about what you're trying to spearhead out there for the president.
Well, you know, the Bible says the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous avails much. In fact, you know, it says in that same book, James, that if there's any sick among you, let him pray. And it also says to call for the elders of the church, and that they may pray the prayer of faith, and that, you know, the sick would be healed. And so we're uniting in prayer for our president. He's the leader of our nation. Everyone at this time needs to put partisan, petty politics aside and personal feelings or anything like that, and come together in prayer for the leader of our nation. The Bible says that we should pray for those that are in authority over us, because that authority is and has been ordained by God. And so we're lifting up our president. We're believing that the combination of prayer across this nation from believers flooding heaven will expedite his healing even more swiftly.
And you know, we have an election. The last time I checked, it's now, what, less than 30 days or about 30 days away or so. What does this mean for the election? I mean, you know, it seems to be one thing after another. You know, I know the president talks about mail-in balloting and some of the fraud that he believes is out there, but now you've got COVID-19. He can't do the airport hangar rallies anymore. What are you doing on that front from an election standpoint? How are you trying to help the president?
Well, you know, the surrogates are going to have to intensify our efforts in getting the MAGA message out and trying to persuade voters to vote for Donald Trump. But, you know, this COVID-19 infection that he's picked up has actually done something that is unusual in America, and that is to portray President Donald Trump as a sympathetic figure. You know, he's a guy that from the moment he came down that escalator, he hasn't been a target for compassion or sympathy or empathy, but now there are a number of people that do sympathize for him and empathize with him and feel compassion for him. So that is a positive if we can get anything out of this. And if I know our president, he's not going to take COVID laying down. He's going to come up with something. I can see him doing some digital outreach and possibly, you know, I know he's going to be very active on Twitter. I expect that. And, you know, he's a healthy enough guy. When I say that, I mean he's physically fit to the extent that he will be active even while in whatever bubble he's in. And he's going to maintain contact with the American public. You can bet that.
No, that's that's for sure. He'll be active on Twitter. Can you imagine Donald Trump quarantine with him and his phone? I mean, my goodness gracious, that's going to be a Twitter. Well, call it whatever you want. Twitter
hurricane.
Never mind. I have a few words. I'm not going to say them.
A Twitter tsunami. Right. That's going to be a Twitter tsunami.
Okay, that's a perfect word for it, actually, Pastor Scott. All right, let me ask you. Let me ask you about the African American vote. What was it? About 9%, I think, in 2016. You can tell me the figure, but you get the sense that he's going to probably do better than that. What's your prediction? What do you think he can get?
Well, I know the base is solid. The 8% that we got in 2016 is solid, so we can go nowhere but up from there. I have my ear to the ground in a number of inner cities, and there are a number of people who were virulent anti-Trumpers that have now boarded the Trump train, a number of members of our community. The black community is very optimistic regarding this platinum plan that he put out, and we know it's going to take 4 more years of a Trump presidency for it to be implemented. So I'm optimistic about receiving between 22-25% of the African American vote.
Up to 25%?
Yes.
All right. Well,
you know,
look,
that little blip on the debate screen about that little white supremacy nonsense, our people know better than that. The left is trying to capitalize it, but Donald Trump has denounced white supremacy so many times, it's a non-issue these days.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about. You call it nonsense. Explain a little bit more about that. I know he has denounced it multiple times, and the media just wants to continue to have him denounce it. But on the debate stage, when he had a chance to denounce it, I don't know, it just seemed like he was like, he wanted to transition over to Antifa, and it seemed like he missed a moment.
But what he said was, when they asked him, will you renounce white supremacy? And he said, sure. And they asked him again, he said, sure. But what he said was, will you renounce those on the right and renounce their participation in the chaos and violence and the rioting that was pervading America? And he said, wait a minute, I don't see that coming from the right to the left. I've seen it coming from the left to the right. That's what it was. But if you notice, Joe Biden was asked the question as to whether or not he would denounce or associate with the Black Lives Matter organization, and he completely ignored the question. And Chris Wallace completely ignored it as well. He didn't press him on the issue. Joe never answered that question. And when Joe turned around and said that Antifa was basically a figment of America's imagination, that it was a myth, like Jerry Nadler said that it was simply an idea, they let that go unchallenged as well.
Yeah, no, I know. He's had some... Look, I think you make a good point about Kenosha. You mentioned the rioting. The actual KKK question was in response to all of Kenosha and what was going on with the rioting. And that's why he went to Antifa. So I get it. Pastor Darrell Scott, always great to see you. I'm assuming you're in Cleveland, right? You're somewhere in Ohio.
Yes, I'm here.
You're here. We know where you're at. All right. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
God bless you.
All right, we're back in a moment with some medical answers on President Trump and COVID-19. We're back in a moment.
Uh-oh, there you go. Slow slicing fruits, veggies, and those stinky onions that bring you to tears. But not anymore. Introducing NutriChopper, the compact handheld speed slicer that cuts up to 10 times quicker than a knife. Watch. You can have 1 slice or 10 perfect slices at once. Amazing! You can just julienne, or you can bundle slice julienne sticks at lightning speed. With NutriChopper, you can slice the entire onion or mince a mound of onions and never have time for tears. Why slice a single apple wedge when you can wedge it all in one snap? NutriChopper comes with the razor-sharp interchangeable stainless steel blades you need to make all of the cuts you want, and all incredibly quick. Chop thick slices, chop thin slices, chop cubes, chop sticks, and wedge whole fruits and vegetables in just 1 second. Slice it and cook it right in the pan, right on your stove. Chop and slice right into the pot for a family-sized stew with no mess. Snap and slice a fruit salad for the kids right into the bowl in seconds. Slice up a healthy salad for a quick and easy meal on the go. Cube meats and cheeses quick, in a snap. And NutriChopper comes with a perfect portion container and fresh keeping lid so you can slice it, seal it, and store it all in one. To clean, simply rinse or rack it in the dishwasher. Then lock it to store it safely in a drawer. And now the NutriChopper with the thin slice, thick slice, wedge, and cube blades, and the slice and store container and lid, a value of over $40, is yours for just $19.99. But wait! Order now and we'll even pay the shipping for you. You get the complete NutriChopper set with blades and container with lids, all for just $19.99 with free shipping. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-927-4071 or go online at NutriChopper.com. That's 1-800-927-4071 or go to NutriChopper.com. Order now.
I'm Nick Bolton, and these days...
Hey there.
Hey there. It seems everybody has a pair of tactical sunglasses.
Good morning.
Morning. But what if you already wear glasses? Then you need these flip-up tack glasses. These new glasses fit right over your existing eyewear to give you all the benefits of our tack glasses while you comfortably wear your regular glasses. Plus, like all tack glasses, flip-up tack glasses feature Bell & Howell light filtering technology that makes invisible objects suddenly become visible. There's just nothing like them on the market today. Here you go, buddy.
Thanks, Nick.
Act now to get your flip-up tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship them to you free. But wait, order today and you can get a second pair. Just pay a separate fee. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-284-4127 or go to flipupglasses.com. That's 1-800-284-4127 or order online at flipupglasses.com.
Look, a lot of medical questions out there with President Trump having COVID. What does it mean? What should happen exactly as it relates to testing going forward? And will he get better? I guess we're going to find that all out. But as for a medical situation, let's bring in Dr. Kojo. It's a shorthand for a very long name, a wonderful name, by the way, but he's the vice president of Halodyne and an anesthesiologist. Dr. Kojo, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, David.
Well, tell me, so you hear the news of President Trump having COVID. What are some things medically that people should understand about COVID-19, but specifically as it relates to the president, because he's older in nature, obviously. So tell me a little bit about what you understand that to mean.
First of all, I have to say that as a Christian and as a medical doctor, my heart goes out to the Trump family, President Trump. I'm praying that the Lord will rain his healing power upon him. I'm a medical doctor, so that's what I know by training. Now, having had COVID-19 myself as the ICU team leader at my hospital, it's important to put certain things into perspective. There's certain risk factors that makes one more, put one at a high risk. So you talk about age is a factor, past medical history or medical conditions, and knowing the severity of the disease. Our president, it's, as we all know, is not a young man, right? He's got medical conditions or medical history. And so all those are risk factors that will put him at a mortality rate of about 4%. I think it's important to put that into perspective and the need for all of us to be very careful. The president is the most powerful person on earth, in my eyes. All right, he's protected by the personnel around him. He's getting tested every day. He's taking all these precautions. And unfortunately, he contracts COVID-19. We in the medical community know this far too well, like myself, that had every single PPE and yet contracted this deadly virus. I think it's important to note that the PPEs are great, and I think we should continue on with them with testing that is very sensitive to be able to pick up this virus. But it's also important to know that we need to do a lot more for a person like our president, in spite of everything that he's done, still contracting the virus. Very concerning.
Let me ask you about, we hear a lot about comorbidity, and technically, I'm sure he wouldn't want to hear this, but the truth of the matter is his BMI is 30. I mean, he technically is considered obese. I know he doesn't want to hear it, but Correct. The truth of the matter is that is a potential additional factor here, is it not?
So when we talk about risk factors, we look at a few factors that are very significant. We learned early on during the pandemic that high blood pressure is a concern, lung disease, asthma, COPD, smoking, These are all risk factors. People with heart disease, obesity is one of the risk factors as well. I will tell you though, BMI of 30%. BMI of 30 is not that. It's not severe, but it's definitely a concern.
Okay.
That is one of the risk factors that one will look at.
Well, and he doesn't drink and he doesn't smoke and he hasn't his whole life, so that's obviously a positive for him there. Let me ask you about your story for a moment. You talked about how you had COVID yourself. What was that experience like, and take us through it a little bit.
I can totally feel for the president right now. COVID-19, all the people, myself included, who have had it and have come out of it, I think that's the bright side of it. But the symptoms can be very, it varies a lot. Myself, as alluded to early on, as an anesthesiologist, I was in the ICU all the time during the heat of the pandemic here in the state of Connecticut, and taking every precaution, and yet I came down with it. My symptoms lasted for about 4 weeks. The first 2 weeks was really kind of was pretty significant. I was very tired, very, very tired. There were times I couldn't do anything without taking a nap. I couldn't even go up a flight of stairs without getting short of breath. So those were the most significant symptoms I had. Very, very pretty tiring, malaise. You feel like you just be run down by a huge truck. You can't really get up and do things. Even when you've gotten up during in the morning, by the end of the day, you just out of energy. And that's what lead a lot of people to not do exercise and open up their lungs, which leads to a lot of these patients who had, unfortunately, other comorbidities or other medical conditions getting a lot more sicker because you're not able to exercise and take big breath in to sort of open up your lungs. And as the virus takes over your body, it releases all these toxins and viral particles so small that ends up in your lungs, which causes the severe lung disease that most of these patients will have to end up on a ventilator, some of whom, unfortunately, we've lost.
So let's just go through this from a medical perspective. My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but if someone has COVID-19 like the president and can get daily tests, like the president can get a daily test, obviously, now that he has COVID, if he has 2 negative tests in a row separated within 24 hours, he would be considered to no longer have COVID, right? I mean, is that how it works?
So that's always a tricky question. Once you get COVID, once one contracts this deadly virus, you have to understand certain things about the testing. The testing itself can be anywhere from 30 to 40% false or negative. So one may take the test and it will say that you are COVID-19 negative. Just by having that single test does not mean that you are negative. You still have your symptoms. If you just had it, how are you feeling right now? What's the difference? Now, if you repeat it, I would say days apart, and your test comes back to be negative, then there's a high chance that you have overcome the virus and that you no longer have the viral particles within you. And that the significance of that is, you've overcome it. But the other thing is to mention the fact that you are no more or at risk of spreading this deadly virus around.
Yeah. I've got about 30 seconds or so left, Dr. Kojo, but I'm curious, if the president of the United States can get it and he's tested daily and everybody around him is tested, so in other words, he's kind of in this buffer, what does that say to you, that this virus seems to it doesn't have any boundaries, obviously? What is your sense of even someone like the president getting it?
So I think, on a short note, it's important to know that this is a deadly pandemic. We've done every single thing that we can as people, right? All the personal protective equipment that we've put in place. And yet people like our president, as you mentioned, are getting it, myself included, right? Protected, getting PPEs and physical barriers. I think it's time we begin to look into other forms of protection that will basically chemical protection that will allow us to curb the spread of this deadly pandemic. Products like Halodyne, which sanitizes the nose and sanitizes the mouth as well.
Dr. Kojo, I got to run. I'm up against a hard break. You've been fantastic.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new durable non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in granite stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction, then coated 3 times with our durable Granite Stone finish. Granite Stone is metal utensil safe and won't scratch. And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil just doesn't stick. This steak is perfectly seared just like the pros. And because Granite Stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection, and it just doesn't stick. Fire Flambe Delicious Cherries Jubilee. Plus, it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe. Call or go online to get your Granite Stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite Stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a Granite Stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all, an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-850-0237. That's 1-800-850-0237, or order online at buygranitestone.com. That's 1-800-850-0237. Call now.
Windshields are impossible to clean, and a dirty windshield can be downright dangerous. Introducing the Hurricane Windshield Wizard, the one tool that reaches and cleans for you. It uses the power of microfiber with a pivoting head to make cleaning windshields quick and easy. The specially designed ergonomic handle fills with tap water and dispenses at the touch of a button, so you can clean in seconds without straining, and it folds away for space-saving storage. Order now and get the Hurricane Windshield Wizard with free extra bonnet for just $19.99. But order now and you can double the offer. Plus, you can also get the Battle Visor, the visor that blocks the harsh glaring sun and keeps you safe on the road. Just pay a separate fee, and we'll ship everything to you for free. That means you can get all this and free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-474-7530 or visit GetWindshieldWizard.com. So call 1-800-474-7530 now.
Welcome back to the Water Cooler. So I don't know about you, but I'm like done with 2020. This is the last sip. I'm so over 2020. It's been like the worst year since I got a paltry amount of money at my bar mitzvah when I was 13. It still stings today. We'll talk about it some other time. But back to 2020. This latest news that President Trump and the First Lady have COVID is just the latest entry into the what in the world is going on in 2020 list. By the way, I want to share an email I got from 2020. That's right. I actually opened up my email this morning and boom, up pops an email from 2020. I want to read it to you. You mind? Can we do that? All right. I'm sure 2020 doesn't care. Forget the privacy issue. Here we go. Here it is. It says to David Brody. America, by the way, is CC'd in it. From 2020, subject, gotcha again. Here's what 2020 writes. Dear America, I know you've been going through a lot this year, but frankly, I just don't care. Basically a year, so I have no thoughts or feelings. I just exist. Having said that, I'd love to list all of my accomplishments this calendar year, if you don't mind. I know you don't consider these accomplishments at all, but alas, I don't care because I don't have feelings. So here goes. Here we go on the list. The Australian wildfires, the West Coast wildfires, the impeachment of President Donald Trump, and that got done early in 2020 because 2020 saying I knew there would be so much more that he had to cram in, he or she. The death of Kobe Bryant, Harvey Weinstein convicted of rape and sexual assault in New York, the stock market crash where the Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged by almost 1,200 points, the COVID-19 pandemic, and sorry for burying this one, probably should have led with it instead, according to 2020, the 2020 Summer Olympics, postponed, the death of George Floyd, rioting in the streets, Antifa, the idea, wreaks havoc, President Trump and the lady get COVID. And by the way, TBA, an election that could end up at the Supreme Court in December. In conclusion, I'm your worst nightmare. Best 2020. That was the email. Of course, after I saw that email, I immediately hit the delete button. I'm sure we all want to hit the delete button this year. Folks, look, we live in a divided nation. Our politics is ugly. Our discourse is ugly. It's just a mess. But as I read through that email from 2020, I thought about this. There's reason for hope, okay? And out of tragedy can come hope and faith. And out of COVID came heroes, right? Tens of thousands of them. And the last time I checked, 2020 doesn't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a liberal, conservative. COVID affects us all. It affects families, whether it be the wildfires, Australian fires, doesn't matter. Bottom line is, it's time to come together as Americans. 2020 has taught us that. Can't wait till 2021 gets here. Back in a moment.
Brett Favre, legendary quarterback. Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver.
You ready for your weekly meeting?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do this. Let's stack the deck.
When legends play, they wear Copperfit Advanced Back Pro. Copperfit's best-selling compression back support just got better with new double-band adjustable supports for customizable compression when you need it most.
Since I put this on, I feel so much better. The core is the most important thing. To know that I'm stabilized here. Whatever I'm doing, I can give it 100%.
4 built-in stabilizing supports designed to improve posture and help reduce lower back stress and strain.
You have back pain and it's affecting your everyday life. You do something.
If you can find something to help you get back out and be active like Copperfit, go for it.
Absolutely.
Do not give up. A high-performance compression fabric infused with the powerful properties of copper, 360-degree flexible mobility, and lightweight, durable construction.
Nothing more painful than having back pains. If you're aching, if you feel like you can't work out anymore, you can. And that's with Copperfit.
Yeah. It's for all of us who still want to be active, still want to compete.
Way to go. That's what I'm talking about. Man, this really does feel good. It feels to me like the fountain of youth.
Copperfit's best-selling back support just got bigger, badder, and better. Or call 1-800-944-5851. Or on the web at advancedbackpro.com. Get yours now for only $19.99.
This does feel good.
That's what I've been saying.
You think it was fair?
It was fun.
Play for the love of the game.
Copperfit, live limitless.
Frustrated with heavy rubber hoses that always get tangled and easily kink? Introducing the Bionic Flex Pro hose, the super strong, super tough hose that's ultra light as well. Run over an ordinary hose and it'll easily burst, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose stays intact no matter what runs over it, because its reinforced drag-resistant commercial-grade outer polyester weave makes it tougher and stronger than ever. And its solid brass fittings are crush-proof too. Ordinary hoses kink easily and stop working, but the Bionic Flex Pro hose never kinks. It just keeps flowing strong. And while regular hoses easily get tangled, the Bionic Flex Pro hose is tangle-proof. You can get the 25-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose for just $19.95 with free shipping. But wait, order today and we'll upgrade your order to a 50-foot Bionic Flex Pro hose. Just pay a separate fee, and shipping is still free. Go now.
Call 1-800-313-8062.
All right, I understand that Sophie Mann was up most of the night keeping the public informed about what was going on at the White House. Right now, the magnificent, I'm not going to put that in quotes. It says to read it in quotes. The magnificent Sophie joins us here on the water cooler. Why are we putting that in quotes?
I don't know. I didn't write it. But
Well,
no, I'm just kidding. I did.
Of course you did. Well, you should have taken the quotes out.
Yeah.
Sophie, good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, so let me guess. So COVID's in the news.
Yeah, what a day we're having with COVID.
Yeah, what do you got? What's going on?
Well, as we know, the president announced early this morning that he and First Lady Melania Trump had tested positive for the sometimes deathly virus.
Right.
We have reports out of the White House that he's doing well, showing only mild symptoms. They're looking forward to a hopefully speedy recovery.
Mm-hmm.
As for the rest of the in-group in the Oval Office, we know Hope Hicks tested positive yesterday evening, but so far no other positive results coming out of the White House. So VP Pence is good, his wife is good, line of succession is intact for now. And, Chief of Staff Mark Meadows has said that no other top advisors have tested positive, though he wouldn't necessarily be surprised if some more positive tests came through in the next couple of weeks, just given the way the virus works.
Yeah.
But for right now, there's no reason to panic. We've seen this happen before. Hopefully it's just a mild case and the country will get through it.
Yeah.
Obviously, a few campaign events have been thrown into flux. The president had to cancel his rally in Florida this morning. AVN has been doing a lot of reporting on that today. It was in a county that the president won by a very slim margin, only 1.5 points last election. So it is an unfortunate event to have to cancel. And, his fans and supporters are bummed that he won't be making it down today. But hopefully this will be a quick turnaround. The debate scheduled for 2 weeks from now will go on as planned.
At this point.
As I said, the vice president has tested negative, as have Joe Biden and Senator Harris. So the VP debate scheduled for next week will be right now going ahead as planned, though I'm sure both of them will be getting tested repeatedly for the next several days.
Right. So I got 30 seconds or so. What about this weekend?
This weekend. Well, we'll be keeping you guys up to date with everything that's coming out of this story, in addition, of course, to the Breonna Taylor tapes from the grand jury, which were just released today. There's over 20 hours to get through, but we're going to be doing our best to keep you guys updated on exactly the details coming out of those tapes released by Kentucky AG Daniel Cameron. And we have a bunch of other great pieces from our correspondents. We're going to check in on Senator Lindsey Graham's exceedingly tight Senate race, as well as do some Netflix drama. And we hope you guys enjoy it and check in.
All right, you had to get Netflix in there, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Lindsey Graham's in a tight race. That's not good for Republicans.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. All right, Sophie, thanks. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right. Well, look, we're going to see you right here on the water cooler on Monday. Who knows who's going to be on the show, but there's going to be big guests. I guarantee you, I hope. We'll see you. Have a great weekend.
Tired of struggling with regular mirrors that don't adjust so you can't get close enough? Need both hands, but you don't have a stand? Can't move in the right direction to see your own reflection? You need Flexible Mirror, the bendable, light-up magnification mirror that comes to you. Watch. Just stick it on and turn the base. The super suction locking mechanism means you can put it on any smooth surfaced place, horizontal or vertical.